Well, welcome back. I want to talk about my trip on the Rocky Mountaineer. I've always loved trains, so when I found out about the Rocky Mountaineer, it immediately went on my list. An opportunity came up for me to go on a trip called a learning journey. And what that meant was I was traveling with the Rocky Mountaineer with the express purpose of doing this show. So, of course, I jumped at the chance. My journey began in Calgary, a bright city nestled in between the Canadian Rockies and the prairies. Calgary's known for its annual stampede. The Calgary boasts modern skyscrapers, cultural landmarks, and like the Calgary Tower, which you're going to see a picture of. And it has a very rich cowboy heritage. So for me, I decided I would arrive a day early, and that gave me the chance to wander through the town. I went through the historic Stevens Avenue, which has eclectic restaurants, unique shops, and a very lively energy. It's a walk street. So the next day, I decided I would take a locally based walking tour, and I am so glad that I did. I saw the town, I learned about different historical sites, and I even made a new friend from Australia who actually had begun her journey back in New York. A few weeks before that, she was traveling solo on her own. She had seen her children and she was going on her own and was ending in Vancouver like me. So we saw the sights together and we tasted some delicious chocolate. And we ended our day at a place called The Bank, which was a restaurant housed in a historic building that once was an actual bank many, many years prior. The grand architecture really added to the charm of that particular restaurant, and of course, the happy hour, always good. The following morning brought a special Calgary tradition. It's called a white cowboy hat ceremony, and this is a symbol of Western hospitality that's presented to visitors as a welcome gesture. So the Chamber of Commerce came, and we got our white hat ceremony, but more about the white hat later. After breakfast, we were all very excited though because we were going to board our motor coach driven by our friend Patrick, who was a wonderful guide, and set off towards Banff. It wasn't long before we saw our first sighting of an elk. Banff is the crown jewel of the Canadian Rockies, and it's located within the Banff National Park, which is Canada's oldest national park. With its stunning alpine scenery, it is a year-round destination, and it's just so beautiful. On our drive, the Kananaskis River flowed alongside of us the whole way. It had these beautiful clear waters cutting through the forest and the valleys, and we continued and made our way to our first stop, Lake Minnewanka, where we would end up taking a lovely boat ride, viewing all the beautiful sights that were all around us up close. And it was amazing. We then continued to Banff for a quick lunch stop, dropping off our bags at the Moose Lodge, which would be our home for the next few days, before heading back up to go to the Banff Gondola, where we soared high above Sulphur Mountain and taking in these panoramic views of the surrounding peaks and of course, the Grand Fairmont, which is down in the valley. Just a beautiful place. From Banff, we continued on to Lake Louise, a place that I had dreamed of visiting for a very long time. Nestled at the foot of Victoria Glacier, the lake is renowned for its mesmerizing turquoise waters caused by the fine glacial silt suspended in the water. The color is just, even the pictures don't do the color justice. I stood on the shore, gazing in awe of the towering mountains reflected in the lake's still surface. The Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise sits right on the shore of the lake, and it is one of the most luxurious hotels in the Rockies, and just beautiful. We aren't staying there though, but the Rocky Mountaineer guests, they actually do stay there. So that's pretty cool. And so, we looked and there were people out, they were on their boats. And then we had to get back on the bus and we then went to Moraine Lake. And oh my gosh, another iconic destination famous for this vibrant blue water. And it sits on the Valley of 10 Peaks. The combination of the rugged mountains and the brilliant water is absolutely breathtaking. I can't even, the pictures that I'm showing you right now, again, do not do it justice. But we made a stop at another lake called Emerald Lake, and that was equally beautiful. And we saw some falls over the Kicking Horse River, and every place we stopped on the motor coach was just, everybody's mouth was hanging open, how beautiful it was. I had not realized how beautiful this area was. But as we drove, all of a sudden there was a stop in the traffic, and everybody was really excited because guess what? We saw a bear, and that was our first bear sighting. Unfortunately, it was also our last bear sighting, but I was able to take this quick video. And I wish we would have seen more bears. We certainly spent a long time looking for bears, but we then continued to travel up to the Icefields Parkway, one of the most scenic drives in the world. Stretching for 144 miles through Banff and Jasper National Parks, the parkway offers these jaw-dropping views of soaring peaks, glaciers, and valleys. And our first stop was the Columbia Icefield, where we boarded this giant, massive ice explorer to actually go down, drive onto the glacier, where we were able to get out and explore the Athabasca Glacier. It was an awesome experience to stand on this ancient river of ice, knowing that it's been slowly melting for centuries. And it was funny because there were people down there and there was a lot of wet. It was wet, but you had to be careful when you walked, but it was really cool to walk on a glacier and then look around and see the glacier all around you. Just down the road, we also visited the Columbia Icefield Skywalk, which was a glass-floored observation platform that project out over the Sun-Wapta Valley. And standing there, I felt though I was like floating above these mountains with a view that it was just stretched for miles and miles. And it was pretty amazing. It was just such an amazing experience. But the adventure continued to Jasper, which was a quieter, less developed town than Banff, but equally beautiful. We noticed some mountain goats as we were driving outside of the window, and you see that they just blend right in to the side of the mountain. So it's very hard. You have to really, really pay attention to see these. Jasper is the largest national park in Canada, in the Canadian Rockies, and it's known for its expansive wilderness, and we certainly saw a lot of that. It has abundant wildlife, and it has a designation as a dark sky preserve, making it one of the best places in the world to go and stargaze. And unfortunately, because of the wildfires in the area, we would not have ever been able to see that due to the smoke. We now headed on to a place called Maligne Lake, which is also known for its deep blue waters. Maligne Lake is surrounded by some of the highest peaks in the Rockies. We boarded another boat and enjoyed a peaceful cruise across the lake, taking in the beauty of the entire surroundings. Every time somebody was out, though, in a canoe or in a smaller boat, we had to slow down so that the wakes, they are very cautious about wakes. And it's one of the most photographed spots in the entire world. We then went to a place called Spirit Lake, and there's a lot of lore around the Spirit Lake, and it was very cool. We got out for a while and walked around, but then on the way back in the boat, the air became denser around us, and it really obscured a lot of my pictures, as you can see. The fire nearby was obviously growing, and of course, of concern. And we then stopped at the Fairmont Jasper on that lake, and we walked around, and the smoke was coming pretty heavy by then. So back in Jasper, though, we were really excited because we knew that the next morning we were finally going to get to go on the Rocky Mountaineer, and we were so excited. Or so we thought. About 10:07, the sound of alarms could be heard on everyone's phone throughout this entire hotel. Turns out we were being evacuated from Jasper as the fire came very close to the town. Within the next hour, we were boarding our bus with our suitcases in tow, not sure where we would be headed at that point, and it was very frightening. It actually took us about 4 hours to crawl 5 miles in the bus, and it was frightening and tiring and very tedious. The stress was palatable on the bus and our host from Rocky Mountaineer, who were trying to figure out what they were going to do with us. It turned out there was about 25,000 people between the residents, the visitors, the seasonal workers, all trying to leave Jasper on a single 2-lane road. If you're interested in hearing more about this story, I did write a blog post on my website just about the evacuation, but I'd like to focus more on the good stuff here in this segment. So we made our way finally to a church in a town called Valemont, about 70 miles away from Jasper, where we stayed until the next day when a new bus came to pick us up, and we ended up going to Kamloops. Our original itinerary was going to be Jasper to Quesnel on the train, then Quesnel to Whistler on the train. But that was not to be. And despite our disappointment, we did make it to Kamloops about 6 p.m. the following night after, at that point, we'd been awake for close to 36 hours. Now, on to the main event. As the sun rose over the mountains, our bus pulled up, and we boarded the train, and we were so filled with anticipation. The Rocky Mountaineer is a luxury train journey that takes passengers through the heart of the Canadian Rockies, and it offers an unrivaled view, and I can attest to this, of the rugged landscape up close and personal. The Rocky Mountaineer is more than just a train. It is an experience and a journey. It's luxury travel experience that brings the breathtaking landscapes of the North America, whether it's Canada or they have Moab, Denver, and they're known for their world-class service. It offers unforgettable rail trips through some of the most iconic and scenic regions, including the Canadian Rockies, as I mentioned, and our Rocky Mountains. Alberta's rugged wilderness is something that you have to see to believe, and the British Columbia's coastal rainforest also equally beautiful. As passengers, though, we enjoyed this unique blend of adventure and indulgence with access to what they have. It's called Gold Leaf service. They have Silver Leaf, but Gold Leaf features a bi-level glass dome train car. So you have these panoramic views, gourmet meals inspired by local ingredients, and exceptional hospitality. It was by far one of the most incredible and luxurious experiences that I have had. It only travels in the daylight hours to ensure that you never miss a moment of the stunning beauty and vistas that you'll see during the train. By traveling in Gold Leaf service, I was treated to this glass dome coach and floor-to-ceiling windows. I sipped on my coffee and I ate the most delicious lemon bread while just watching the morning sunlight and the mountains off to the side as the train glided through the untouched wilderness. We enjoyed gourmet meals featuring regional cuisine. For breakfast, I had delicious eggs Benedict, and you'll see some other pictures of other people's breakfast. Lunch, we had fresh caught tuna, Alberta beef, and it was served downstairs in the dining car. And the staff on board were incredibly attentive, sharing stories and facts about the history and wildlife of the area. The dessert was delicious. It was a chocolate flourless cake, and the wine glasses stayed full all afternoon and into the evening. One of the highlights was spotting wildlife, and while we didn't see any bears again, we did see some more mountain goats, and we saw bald eagles. We saw their nests, and it felt like you were going through a nature documentary just outside your window. They also had a outdoor platform that you could stand on. It was quite windy when the train was moving. And basically, I don't think I shut my eyes at all. I just stared out the window trying to make sure I didn't miss a thing. We were on the train probably about 10 hours, and the train wound through valleys, over bridges, and I really found myself reflecting on the magnificence of this landscape. The Rockies have timeless beauty that leaves you in awe. There's something about these mountains and the trees that makes you just feel deeply connected to this whole nature experience. It's hard. Now that I'm speaking the words, it seems to be harder than I thought to explain how I felt. But eventually we saw Vancouver coming, and we were going to be spending the next few days there. And I was super sad that we had only gotten the one day on the train, but again, grateful that I at least got that day on the train. But we had fun in Vancouver as well. We visited the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which was, I wasn't sure if I wanted to walk on it, but it was exhilarating and a bit frightening. We saw the totem poles in Stanley Park. I spent a long time watching seaplanes take off near the Olympic torch. I love flying, and I love flying in small planes, and I have been in a seaplane before, but it was just so much fun. They came in and out and in and out. It was really cool. And then we rode Flyover Canada, which was this 3D IMAX-y type of ride. And I was really proud that I did not get motion sickness because I was a little bit worried about it. But it was fun. And no visit to Vancouver is complete without visiting the Granville Public Market. For me, I love markets, and I love taking pictures of markets. And I finally tried poutine. It was not as good as I'd hoped, but it was okay. I like cheese, I like gravy, I like French fries. Not sure I like them all together. The people I met, though, on board added to the richness of this journey. The group that I was with was travel agents from all over the country and Canada. The group was fun and eclectic. I was the only media person on the trip, so I tried to be low-key and blend in, and tried not to take too many pictures of them out of respect for privacy. And the trip, although not without some significant setbacks, it did leave me with my heart full, and I was grateful for the experience. So I have to say, whether you're an avid adventurer or seeking that once-in-a-lifetime trip, the Rocky Mountaineer will leave you with unforgettable memories. And if you have any ambulatory issues, they have lifts, they have golf carts, you don't have to do any walking, and it is a great way to see the beauty. So I thank you for coming along with me on this journey, and I hope that my pictures inspire you to take your own adventures. So if you'd like more information about the journey on the Rocky Mountaineer, I would urge you to go to their website, or we'll also show at the end some information about a local travel advisor, but they have so many options. They've got the First Passage to the West, Journey Through the Clouds, Rainforest to Gold Rush, which was the journey that I was originally on before we had the detour, Rockies to the Red Rocks, which is a really great trip just here in the United States. And the experience, you have silver leaf service or gold leaf service, and I was on the gold leaf service, which I highly recommend. So don't wait any longer. If you love trains and this sounds wonderful, please, please, please go check out their website, rockymountaineer.com, or we'll give you more information at the end. Thanks.